Let's talk about the Hashmap. Hashmap is a very popular topic in Java interviews, so better be prepared for many questions. How does Hashmap work? Hashmap basically stores key and values associated with the keys. The keys here are transformed into buckets using the HashCode method. The hash value is used to calculate the bucket, the hash value of the key. So in terms of the structure of the hash map, we have one hash table of buckets here, and each bucket is associated with a linked list of nodes. So bucket 152 is associated with a linked list containing two values, John Smith and Sandra D. Each entry contains the key, the value, the hash, and also the next node reference. Next question, how is the hash map constructed by default? So by default, the default initial capacity is 16 in a hash map. The number of buckets is always a power of 2. So here the default will be the 16 buckets, and which is the power of 2. The default value of load factor is 0.75. If it's exceeded, the hash table of buckets is increased 2 times and all buckets refreshed. What is a hash function? The HashCode function returns an integer value used by Hashmap to find a correct bucket. There is also an internal hash function which is provided by the implementation of Java, because the creators of Java didn't trust the HashCode functions provided by each of the objects itself. So it is up to you to provide the hash code, but there is also the internal hash function that will be also used to find the correct bucket. What is a Hashmap bucket? Hashmap bucket uses a simple linked list to store the objects. We can have multiple key value pairs, like the map entry objects, which each of them containing the hash, the key, value, and a next node reference. So each of these is a map entry, and here is a list of the buckets and one bucket itself. How does the Hashmap getKey method works? First of all, at the first step, it checks whether the key is null or not. Remember that in the Hashmap we can only have one null key in the whole Hashmap, while you can have multiple null values in a Hashmap. In the second step, it calls the HashCode method on the key object. Then it applies the returned hash value from the HashCode method to its own static hash function, which defends against poor quality hash functions provided by the clients, by the objects. And it finds a bucket location. If in a single bucket two entries has the same hash value, it uses the key equals method. How does the put method work? So by definition, the put command replaces the previous value associated with the key that you provided in the map. So conceptually, it's like an array indexing operation for primitive types. What are Java 8 improvements to the hash map? If in a bucket too many unequal keys have the same hash code, then the implementation will be of the bucket will be switched from default linked list to a balanced tree, which will optimize the performance of the hash map. What is the HashCode collision? It is a situation when two unequal objects produce the same hash code. What is the difference between the HashTable and the HashMap? HashTable is synchronized, whereas the HashMap isn't. HashTable doesn't allow null keys or values, while the HashMap allows one key and many null values. One of HashMap's subclasses is a linked HashMap, so in the event that you want to predictably iterate the HashMap, you could easily swap out the HashMap for a linked HashMap. This wouldn't be easy if you were using a HashTable. Concurrent HashMap is a thread-safe implementation, and it introduces some additional functions like putifAbsent methods. That's it about the HashMap. Thank you.